Wake up, Canada. This is happening right now. In one brutal month, 84,000 jobs vanished. That is one of the worst employment drops outside the pandemic years. Unemployment climbed to 6.7%. Families across the country are feeling it. Parents stretching paychecks. Young people searching for work. Communities trying to hold things together. And while Canadians were dealing with economic stress at home, something else happened overseas. On March 1st, an Iranian missile strike hit Ali Al-Salem Air Base in Kuwait. Canadian armed forces operate there alongside Allied forces. Satellite imagery later showed damage in the Canadian section of the base. Thankfully, no Canadian personnel were injured. But here is what surprised many Canadians. We didn't first hear this from Ottawa. We heard it from a French journalist reporting in La Presse. That raised a simple question. Why didn't Canadians hear about this from their own government first? And the tension doesn't stop there. Backroom floor crossings in Parliament. 4 MPs switching parties. The governing party now edging toward a majority that Canadians never voted for. If a government wants a majority, then Canadians should decide that in an election. Because that is the democratic way. But here is the part that matters most. Canada doesn't break. Canada fights back. In the next few minutes we're going to face these challenges honestly. And then we're going to look at something even more important. The resilience already building across this country. Let's start with the economy. Statistics Canada's February labour report delivered a shock. Employment dropped by 84,000 jobs in a single month. Full-time positions took some of the hardest hits. Younger Canadians entering the workforce were particularly affected. And for many families, the numbers translate into real pressure. Longer job searches. Tighter household budgets. Communities facing layoffs. Economic changes rarely come from a single cause. Global trade tensions. Tariffs. Industry shifts. A global economy still adjusting. But Canada has faced economic shocks before. And history shows something important. Recovery in this country rarely begins in government buildings. It begins in communities, in local businesses, and in Canadians supporting one another. Now let's look beyond our borders. On March 1st, an Iranian missile struck Ali Al-Salem Air Base in Kuwait. Canadian Armed Forces personnel operate there alongside Allied partners. Satellite imagery later revealed damage in the Canadian section. Thankfully, no Canadian troops were injured. But the story sparked debate in Canada. Because the first report came from a French journalist with La Presse, not from official channels. That raised questions about transparency. Regardless of politics, one fact remains. Canadian troops serve in complex environments around the world. They do it professionally. And they deserve the full support of the country they represent. Back home, political tensions are rising in Parliament. Several members of Parliament have crossed the floor. Most recently, an MP from Canada's Arctic region made that move, representing communities across Nunavut. And many of her constituents used a blunt word to describe it. They say their MP defected. Floor crossing is legal in Canada's parliamentary system. But many voters feel their voice changes without their consent when it happens. Which brings us back to a simple democratic principle. If a government wants a majority in Parliament, then Canadians should decide that in an election. Because in a democracy, legitimacy comes from the people. From Arctic communities to major cities. Every Canadian voice matters. Now we come to the heart of this conversation. Hope. Because despite these challenges, Canada's greatest strength has always been its people. Across the country, communities are adapting. Entrepreneurs are launching businesses. Workers are retraining. Small towns are creating new opportunities. Innovation is growing in trades, technology, and local industry. Canada has never been defined by its problems. It has always been defined by how Canadians respond to them. And when Canadians work together, the results are powerful. To every Canadian watching this, whether you live in the Arctic, the prairies, the coasts, or the cities, these are challenging times. But Canada's story has never been about easy moments. It has always been about resilience, communities standing together, and Canadians refusing to give up on the future. The future of this country will not be written by headlines. It will be written by Canadians. And when Canadians choose hope, unity, and action, there is nothing this country cannot overcome. Knowledge is empowering. And being empowered is how Canadians move forward with confidence. If this message resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share. And if you're new to the channel, the Start Here playlist on the channel will guide you through the most important topics affecting Canadians today.